So welcome to round 4 of the Welsh XC series, and here we go, 5 laps, 4k a lap, about 170 metres of climbing a lap, and Richie gets the whole shot. I was on front row. It was not a bad start, just didn't clip in, and we got a bit of a start loop before we joined the lap as a proper. So a bit of an arena here, if you like, bit of a bowl. So we turn around, a couple of bends, and then we get through the main sort of start finish straight, etc., and then start the first of 5 laps in the right way. So at the moment we're sitting in 7th, yeah, and we start moving up in a moment. We've got the vet, sport, the elite and the expert and juniors in front of us. So quite a few people on the track, and we've got the super vets starting 2 minutes behind us. Not a big field for the grand vets, but so I'm up to 6th place. I'm just going to tuck in behind Steve, basically follow him for a lap. Just about to lose, back to 7th, and that's Mark, and I'm kind of sandwiched between these for quite a fair bit. Back up to 6th. There's not an awful lot. The track is pretty new, well cut. We dip into the downhill track a few times and pedal through. Low line, high line, should have followed Mark through there really, and just kept on his wheel, because the front 3 now are just starting to pull away a little bit. We got some good single track. It's a bit of an awkward track, but there's quite a few steep areas where you just didn't have rear traction, so you had to get off. There's quite a bit of on-off, clip, unclip, and this is the first of many where you got to get off, push up. To be fair, I probably did pretty well running up the hills, pushing the bike. Got back into 5th place, back to 5th, and to be fair, this is kind of how it pans out. And this is where we remain. So spoiler alert, I end up 5th, and the guys in front, that's how they were: 1st, 2nd, Richie 3rd, and Mark in 4th. But yeah, quite a few awkward little uphilly parts where you kept losing traction, had to get off and push, clip in, clip out, not my strong point. And then two sort of fire road draggy climbs up to the very end of the course before some fast downhill single track again. So yeah, a few things to work on coming back out of here. This, I think most people push this. I did see one of the elite boys riding up here, but it was just, yeah, that kind of proves it. The traction just wasn't there. I think I very briefly go into 4th place here, maybe by an inch. Faffing about clipping in. Mark gets past, and that's it. Those boys are away, and I don't really see him again for the rest of the day, if I'm honest. I struggled today, 2 or 3 areas. First was grip with the tyres. These are some nice fast rolling tyres, but this particular spot, quite loose. I almost went over, managed to save it, but later in the race I did lose it, went over the berm, little tumble, but every lap bike was fishtailing with the rear end, the front end. There was just no grip, so we're going to sort that out, get a grippier one on the front, maybe a hands down, put that rocket rod on the back, because there's a bit more grip on that one, and that hopefully will sort us out for Llangollen, because it's a fairly similar track from life. It's the same as the one from last year, but yeah, I had no confidence in the grip of the tyres, so that just hampered me a bit. And with all the clipping, unclipping, my left pedal, I can only clip in on the one side of the pedal, which normally through training and just normal riding isn't a problem, because once you're in, you're in. But because this one had so much, you know, we're off again and we're pushing, this one had so much clipping in, clipping out, and then mud getting in your cleats, it was hard to clip in anyway. I just struggled to get my left foot in and out consistently, and have the pedal the right way around to clip in, etc. So that was making me a bit uneasy and a bit off balanced at some points, and a few of those steep ones I had to go down one-footed, tripoding, and then obviously the other is the the solid seat post, so like a dropper frame. I just again dropped it slightly because this is the start of the first climb, and I was just mindful I wanted to try and keep as much power for the climbing as I could, because it's 170 metres, is a fair bit of climbing, but low enough that it wasn't kind of in the way on those descents, and it probably wouldn't have been an issue. There's the only A-B line. For the majority I took the B line because it was fairly similar, both a bit loose. I did go down the A line on the one lap, but I couldn't clip in, and I was right-footed, tripoding down there, fishtailing out of control. It was it was terrifying. Even this bit then, coming out off camber, trying to keep the high line because the A line came out just below you on the fire road. And in theory this one brought you out higher, provided you could ride along this bit, but I was always struggling to clip back in, and by here I'm just tripoding, and there are, Steve gets back past me, and I think he said later on in the race, he said, what were you doing with your left foot? And I said, yeah, I was trying to clip in, just as well being right-footed pedalling. But here we go, we're sort of halfway round. These are the little table jumps on the downhill track, so we're riding up these, and yeah, the bike performed well. You know, it was horrendous the weather the day before apparently, and that was probably the only puddle on the track, but the course was fairly dry. It was just because it was fresh cut, it was quite loose, and yeah, off camber routes, freshly exposed. Those downhill chutes that were just loose anyway, and maybe the wrong tyres for the job. But other than that, yeah, this was great. Managed on laps 2, 3 and 4 to pick off quite a few people coming up these fire climbs. There wasn't really any overtaking once you were in the single track, unless somebody slipped out and you could nip past them, or you were, you know, both running up with your bikes. This is the very top of the trail before we kind of start descending back in. And this, yeah, just come around this corner, and this caught me out first lap because there was somebody right where you didn't want them, to be honest. This was nice off camber, tight. You had to try and control your speed to keep it tight, and it was always a challenge. And to see him right in the berm, he was okay, but clearly I hope he hadn't had an OTB, but he was, yeah, right in the fire zone there. But you see Steve pulled away on that downhill bit with his full sus. Some switchbacks now in the grass, and then we start working our way back up again through I think 4 or 5 uphill tight switchbacks off camber grass. So as I say, thankfully it was dry. If it had been wet, this would have been touch and go whether it would have been rideable. Certainly on the bends, we just about kept traction. But it was nice, you know, it was nice varied track. I mean, the beauty of the cross country is all the trails tracks are different, so you know it's about the best overall rider being able to ride all, you know, manner of conditions and weather. Luckily so far most races have been dry. Now Cannock was a different track altogether, you know, fast single track, but the tyres performed well on that because there weren't really any steep uphills or downhills, just a few little A-B lines. But yeah, managed to keep here as well without slipping out. Obviously being wet, that would have been horrific. And then we just contour across the top here on, as I say, freshly cut, but clearly there's a trail there, sort of sheep trail across the top of the fields. And this is all a little bit off camber, exposed routes, so it was like clip out on the right side, which for me was easier, and then just sort of half crank or a little bit of tripoding as Steve's doing in front. So this was left foot on the pedal, and just, yeah, that was terrifying every lap. Just to let it run basically, let the front go. Obviously this guy's struggling a bit, so we just managed to get past him, but I didn't overtake or get overtaken at all on this sort of final downhill stretch back into the arena, if you like, the finishing arena. Again, back onto one of the downhill enduro trails. Nice fast berms. There's a bit of a kicker after this berm, so you had to control your speed because I wasn't going to double that. And I think here the right line, the high line, was probably the right choice, and I just missed it every lap. Again, new venue, not been here before, so it was good to come up. try somewhere new. Again, your second race on the bike. A few little adjustments with swapping my pedals back, changing a tyre over, and I think it would have been a different race. But that's all the learning curve. We're just heading down now into the arena where we get the drop, if you like, into the field and start again. So this is just going to do lap 1 on this occasion. Finished 5th, very happy. It went well, lots of overtaking in the other laps, but I wanted to give you a feel for what the track was about. And on to the next performance at Llangollen. So just coming back in, got a nice drop to enter the field, which even though the seat was up was still doable, pretty good. Just sort of heads down, you can just see the boys in front were starting to catch, and I think I got past Steve on lap 2, and then he was having a bit of a day, so I think he pulled off. And then that was it, no more passing the Grand Vets, but I just passed plenty of vets and sport riders. One of the elite came past, and I think a couple of the expert lapped me, but full 5 laps and happy with my performance. So yeah, 5th, doing well, and on to the next round. So here's Russ with a bit of post-race feedback and analysis.
Well, I'm not sure what you picked up. A little bit of an off. Very loose tyres. The front was not gripping too bad. The back, there's not much tread left on that. So these fresh cut loose trails. It was dry, to be fair. God, if it was wet, it would have been horrendous, especially on these. I think I need some new rocket rons, a bit more grip, but no excuses. Got a little bit of an off again, but happy with that. Good performance, 5 laps. Didn't get lapped either, did all 5. 4k loop, 170 metres of climbing, so it was a fair bit. It was kind of like a techie cyclocross trail, if I'm honest. Couldn't really get into a rhythm because it was undulating. You were up, you were down. Techie off camber, clipping in, clipping out. A bit of a running course in parts, purely down to it being loose and steep and my lack of climbing skills. Some of the full sus boys managed to clean it, but I got 5th, so I'm happy with that. 5th for me. Richie got 3rd. He was, I think, a couple of minutes ahead of me. I was up at the back of the course when I heard him calling his name going over the line, but yeah, happy with that. 5th there. So recoveries from FOD. The next one now is in middle of September, I think, is Llangollen, last round of the Welsh Series and the Welsh Championship. So nice block of training, a few things just to iron up on the bike. Today we raised the post from Cannock, but not quite as high as I've had it in training, just because of the quite a few steep chutes. I'm still not that comfy, and the back end was just fishtailing everywhere. So don't know where you're going to pick up on this. A little bit of passing, but it was too tight really to pass that much. But we did a bit of running. I had a stitch as well from all the running, I think. Either that or my carb mix in the bottle was too rich. But I could tell Maddie, just keep breathing a bit deeper, don't work so hard for a little bit, let the stitch pass and go from there. So we'll get the bike in the car, give her a wash, put her away, and out for the next. Big training block coming up. Hope you enjoyed that. I did. Nice ride home now. Happy days. Keep riding those blue sky trends. For the next.